Hey, Margot. I don't know if you're listening, but you're the only one here. So it's good to see you, Margot. Thank you. You're first. And it's always good to have you on my live streams. I'm expecting a few more people to get in here in a couple of minutes. And so we'll just hang out. And Margot, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. We'll talk till some other people get in here. Um, there's no sense getting started if it's just me and you. We can just talk like friends. So um, maybe some other people will get in here shortly. I'm expecting a couple of people. We'll see if they pop in. It is a Sunday night, but usually Sunday nights aren't that bad. But I'm just going to continue on because somebody will see this on the replay somewhere. There's DM Damad. Hey, DM. How you doing, sweetheart? Hang in Arizona. Thank you, AZ. Glad you're here. It's always good to get new people in here. Haven't seen you hanging, AZ. Linda Horner. Hello, how are you, my friend? We had a pretty good Bible study this morning, I thought. I got a real rise out of it, to be honest with you. And I felt pretty good all day. So, Fred Nault, glad you're here, brother. It's always good to see you. Thank you for coming this morning. I was just talking about, I don't know how much it did anybody else any good, but it sure did me good. And I've had a good day all day, pretty much. Harley, how are you doing, brother? Harley's G-Gar. Take it, that's his garage, maybe. I know the man likes Harleys, though. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, Harley. And then we got Willman 757. He's in here all the time. He's a dear friend, as all of you are. It's Gary Holland, another dear friend. I don't know a lot of you people, and I want to make an apology now. My phone has really been screwing up lately, and I'm not so sure if it's my phone or if it's me, but I use my phone a lot on the internet, and because I'm seldom behind a computer. So here I'm using my phone for everything, and I'm thinking that people are calling while I'm on the internet, and it's not registering and it's not letting me know until way later. That's my internet phone number, so I'm sure it has something to do with the internet and all that. So, what I've decided to do, I went and looked yesterday or the day before, and I had like 4 phone calls from people that I didn't know. But yet, this was my internet phone number, so the only people that had it were people that were here. And so there's 4 people that have been on my channel that's called me that I have missed, and I've called them back, and I don't know, it's not working or something, and the phone calls aren't going through. So I promise you, I'm going to start keeping a closer look at my internet phone. Instead of staying online all the time, when I get up, I will be checking to make sure that I haven't had or missed any phone calls. But anyway, my internet phone number is, let's see if I can put it up there. Right there. And I promise you, if I'm not online, I will answer you. So, DM Damod is here, and Darla Tidwell. How you doing, Darla? Fred Nault. It's good to see you, brother. And I want to see that Beowulf. I really do. You're going to have to put it out here one day. And then we have Linda Horner, CLC in Florida. Glad to see you. You just popped in. That's great. Gary Holland's here. So we've got 14 in the chat, so I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to get right with it. But before I get too far ahead, my PayPal will be somewhere in the chat, so don't worry about it. It'll be somewhere in the chat if you want to donate. That's greatly appreciated, but that'll be the last time you hear of it. So anyway, we have some people that we have to thank, that we have to call out. People who have helped me, who have helped others, and that's what we do here as part of the Patriot family. I'll start with Tony Patriot. Tony Patriot named us the Patriot family. Everybody knows that. And so Tony, I guess you'd say, is the father of the Patriot family. So you got to look at Tony Patriot. He comes on every Thursday night. Plus, he's doing these grow channels throughout the week around noon, I think, on Monday and Tuesday. You just have to keep an eye out, hit the bell icon for Tony Patriot, and you'll know when he's going live. And then we have Pete the Patriot, another great guy, man. This guy's great. He's growing. He's getting on up there. He's always got a good show. He's got good people in his chat. It's just a good channel. He gives you great content, but yet he's got his own way of delivering things, and he keeps you entertained and he keeps you involved. And that's the main thing. He keeps your attention. So check out Pete the Patriot if you don't know him. And we have DM the Mod. DM the Mod's the best mod. I swear by her. She's the best mod on YouTube by no stretch of the imagination. So, and DM and History B have a show on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Check them out. Check out DM the Mod's channel and History B's channel, and then check them out together. And always remember, Nice Armory. He comes on Saturday nights. I'm not sure the time. I think 10. And then he comes on Saturday and Sunday mornings around 8:30 or 9, something like that. And he's on for a couple hours. He's a great guy. Check out Nice Armory. If you need a knife, go to Nice Armory. I've got knives right here. Came from Nice Armory. Guarantee you it came here looking great. It came here ready to shave you. But there again, I don't shave, so it's sharp, to say the least. And we have Sandra Ann McGibbon. Her channel now is S.A. McGibbon. Go check her out. She's a deep diver. She does a lot of research, and she brings a lot of really good content, and some of the stuff will go make you go, so Sandra Ann McGibbon, check her out. That'll be S.A. McGibbon. Of course, we always have to mention American Joe Show. American Joe is just a fantastic man, fantastic patriot. If you don't, I know you all know him. If you don't, grab him up. And Disabled Vets Perspective. My dear friend Alex down in Florida. He comes on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And he's always got really good content. He also comes in the middle of the week. If he has a topic he wants to hit on, he'll do a video. But he's always there at 7 p.m., usually him and Belinda. So he and Belinda do a great show on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. If you're a veteran, you need to watch that channel. They give you a lot of great veteran information. They have a lot of VA information. And it's stuff that we need to be aware of and stay on top of. Plus, he brings other stuff, and he can be quite the guy. So check out Disabled Vets Perspective. California Critic is a young guy on YouTube. He's just getting started. I've seen him on Tony Patriot. I want to get him in here. I've got to get in touch with him. I'd love to bring him on. California Critic's a great young man. I just like Sam Tampa in Florida. Florida Jim. Everybody knows Florida Jim and his humor and his wit, as well as his good information. And then again, he just makes fun videos sometimes. He's a great guy. He's just fun. And that's Florida Jim. He turned me on to Sam Tampa, another good young man. Young conservative having to fight the college and the professors and the system at the college. I mean, it's hard to be a conservative young man in college these days. If you're not a liberal, you just don't fit in. Then we have Dangerous Freedom, my dear friend in Arizona. Check him out. He's a gun guy. He's big on guns. He's big on prepping. And I'll tell you, personally, he's a dear friend. And he's got good stuff to talk about. He's a smart guy. As well as Liberty Smith. We all know Liberty Smith. If you don't know him, go check him out. Liberty Smith's a great guy. And he's a big InfoWars guy. But he's more than that. He's putting out other content. So go check out Liberty Smith, my dear friend in Oklahoma. But as we get started, let's look here. Oh, Benny's in here now. And Liberty Smith is in here. Hang and see. I'm glad you're hanging out. Thank you for being here, my dear friend. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about this suspended animation thing. I was looking through today for something to talk about tonight. I'm sick of uh, the impeachment hearings. I haven't made any remarks on it other than how stupid it is. I haven't reported anything on it other than it's a sham. And so I haven't really been, bringing any information about the impeachment, and I'm not going to start tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just letting that stuff go. I can't watch 5 minutes of it without my blood pressure going through the roof. I just can't. No, I can handle Jim Jordan or Nunez or somebody like that talking, but I can't handle these demon rats. I just really can't. And it just makes my blood boil, makes me angry, and I don't want to be an angry person. So I just quit watching them. I said, you know, somebody's going to put it out here and I'll see it and I'll find out what it's all about without having to sit through the agony of it. We all know it was a sham and a disgrace. You have that lion, Adam Shifty Schiff, sitting up there like he's some kind of king. Oh my God. The first 5 minutes I watched that thing, I had to turn it off. I couldn't stand it. I just could not stomach looking at that man, knowing what a liar and a thief and a con and a cheat and a demon and a devil that man really is. Believe me, people, he is. But we're going to talk a little bit about this stuff I came across called suspended animation. You heard about suspended animation, and we all thought it was sci-fi stuff. Well, the first human patient has actually been put into suspended animation. I know everyone that it was like me. You thought as a sci-fi fan, we've seen and we know about suspended animation. The ideas of being around for 50 years or more in suspended animation while you're flying through space. And when you get there, you're the same age you were when you left 50 years ago. Yeah, we've all seen that on TV, on sci-fi shows and space shows and things like that. Star Trek had it on there all the time. The idea that the functions of the human body can somehow be put on pause for medical procedures or even for space travel has until now been something that you couldn't obtain. It was unattainable. They couldn't get there. They couldn't figure out how to put the human body into suspended animation and to a point where you could revive that human being at a later time. Well, they haven't got to the point yet to where they're putting people in suspended animation for days and weeks and years. No, they're not doing that. They can't do that yet. But here's what they are doing. And according to the New Scientist publication, doctors have successfully placed human beings in a suspended animation for at least the first time. The technique of suspended animation is officially called emergency preservation and resuscitation, or EPR for short. Get that? Emergency preservation and resuscitation. It's called EPR and is being tested at the University of Maryland Medical Center. And it's tested on patients who arrive with acute trauma like stab wounds or gunshots. These massive injuries, where a lot of organs, are involved. Acute trauma patients normally have a survival rate of less than 5%. Because like I said, most gunshots and stab wounds, it doesn't matter where you get stabbed. If it's in your upper or lower body, they're going to puncture more than just one organ. You're gonna get a lot of stuff inside you tore up. It's just that simple. A knife will do it, and so will a bullet. And it goes through flesh and organs like it was butter. So we have to remember that these patients usually die. Only 5% ever survived. Well, with EPR, the patient could possibly, here's what they're going to do. They're going to take the patient and they're going to cool that patient as fast as they can by replacing their blood with ice cold saline. Okay, normal saline is nothing but pretty much purified water. That's all saline is. It's called normal saline. You use it to wash your hands. But there, I was a paramedic and a cardiac technician at a surgical intensive care facility, and uh, I mean, I use saline for everything. And if you wanted to flush out an IV, they put those little INT needles in you, and ever so often you have to clear it. So if we didn't need to give heparin, for blood thinners or something, we'd just use normal saline. It's sterile. So they're taking this sterile saline and they're removing your blood and they're filling your arteries and your veins and your organs full of water. But when they replace this blood, the heart stops. The heart actually stops beating. And brain activity is minimal. I mean, there's barely a brainwave. I mean, they've got you dead to rights. Your brain can only live for 5 minutes without oxygen. Let's see what this says about that. The heart stops beating, the brain activity is minuscule. Normal body temperatures, we all need a constant supply of oxygen to remain alive. We live off of oxygen. We breathe it into our lungs. It goes into the alveoli, then it goes into the capillaries and the veins and the arteries, and it goes throughout your body. That's how oxygen is done. It's carried in the blood. It's not just you breathing it in. Once you breathe it in, then the process starts. Taking a breath is nothing but the initiation of something. Once you breathe it, I mean, there's a complex thing that goes on inside your body that within seconds, within literal nanoseconds, that oxygen has been transferred from your lungs to your capillaries, to your veins and arteries, and to all your organs. I mean, that's how oxygen works. We live off of oxygen. But the cold temperatures, everything slows down or stops inside the cells. Okay, I don't understand how they do this. I really can't understand how you can take someone's blood out of their body and fill their body with saline. Ice cold saline, they said, to cool the body. Okay, the heart's not beating. The brain activity is minuscule. So now you have a body laying there with hardly no brain activity at all, and he's not breathing, and his heart's not beating, and he's got his veins full of water. People, this is scary. You see what they're doing? I mean, this is absolutely scary. For one, I would never, ever want to go through that. I don't care what the reason. But see what they're talking about now. They're talking about this stuff like it's something that they could go further. Maybe not just for trauma victims with severe gun or stab wounds. Maybe we could do this and actually send people out of our solar system. Man, I'm gonna tell you, these people are crazy. As I've always said, if you've ever seen it on TV or in a movie or a theater, in a sci-fi film or anything else, if you've ever seen something that seems so bizarre that it's unheard of on Earth, believe me, they're already doing it. And now they're coming out and telling the truth about it. It says here that when you slow down all these things and you replace all of the blood with cold saline, that it slows or stops chemical reaction inside the cells, which need less oxygen as a result of being cool down. Wow. It said the human brain can survive for about 5 minutes without oxygen before brain damage occurs. And that's a fact. As a paramedic, I saw that all the time. All the time. I've had numerous people code on me. I went to many heart attack victims and did CPR from the house all the way to the hospital and into the ER. I mean, I went further than that with some. But I mean, I've performed CPR many times on people. And I'm going to tell you, you don't get them back within 5 minutes. You might as well know you're wasting your time because they'll never be the person they were. They will suffer brain damage after 5 minutes. Now, unless you're being drowned. Now, if you're drowned in water colder than 40 degrees, we have this thing inside of us that, it's called the mammillary diving reflex. Don't ask me, how we got it or where it came from, but it's called the mammillary diving reflex. So we're talking about mammals diving into water. When you go into under 40 degrees, for some reason, you can be revived up to 45 minutes or an hour underwater, drowned. But if you're in 70-degree water, your time is cut down because as you're in the cold water, maybe this makes a little sense with this suspended animation thing. I don't know. But anyway, when you drowned in cold water, you're viable for 45 minutes to an hour of being revived with no brain damage. Up to 5 minutes. No longer than that. But if you're at 70 or 60 degrees and you drown, then that's cut even less because in warm water, of course, you stay warm and everything flows, and within 5 minutes, brain damage. Doesn't matter who you are. So how are they putting these people in suspended animation? How are they doing this? How are they keeping that brain alive? How are they keeping it viable? It says through EPR, a surgical team has 2 hours to work on a patient's injuries before they need to be warmed up and their hearts restarted. Okay, so now that just confirms what we thought. These people were dead. They're laying there on the table, minimal brain function. Their heart's not beating, they're not breathing, and they've got water in their veins. Cold water. I mean, they're laying there cold on this bed. I mean, they're already cold. I mean, you touch them, they feel like they're dead. My goodness, that must be terrible. Could you imagine? And then they warm you back up by draining the water out of your veins and arteries and then putting your blood back in. So I guess for the 2 hours that you had water in your veins, I guess they had your blood over there going through some kind of little centrifuge, keeping it stirred up and warmed up so they could put it back into you. Maybe they gave you somebody else's blood. I don't know, but I'm sure they probably recycled yours. But anyway, no, I don't want to go through that. No. I'll tell you what, if my wounds are that bad, just, give me a couple of good shots of Demerol or something and let me fade away asleep and just die over there in the corner. Don't go doing this to me. No, don't go taking all my blood out of my body and putting me in suspended animation and, performing surgery, major surgery, on my body and then putting my blood back in and warming me up. No, if I'm dead, let me go. I only want to die one time, my friends. I don't want to die more than once. I've been in situations where I thought I was going to die, and I didn't. Thank God. But here's the thing. It says we are all destined to die. Every man and girl, woman and child that ever breathed is going to die. It's a fact. I don't want to hear about this death and taxes are two constants. No, death is the only constant. Life is a blessing from God, but death is a constant for everybody. And that's because of the sin in the garden. Remember, God had told Adam and Eve that they would surely die. And now we're dying, people. We're dying. You know, the human brain, like I said, survives only for 5 minutes. And they have 2 hours to do surgery. But according to the team at the Baltimore facility, full results of this trial are expected to announce their findings by the end of 2020. Now, you see what they're doing? This is a trial. That means, what does that mean? Who are the patients that they're doing this on? Are these people who signed a waiver? I mean, if they came into the emergency room, that's what they said. It's emergency. I forget, I'll have to look it back up. But anyway, it's emergency something resuscitation. Heck, I don't know. It's too far back for me to look. So anyhow, if they're going to have this functional by 2020, that means that they're doing studies is what they're doing. They're doing trials. So they have somebody that's just been injured, wounded, or shot, or stabbed in some fashion that injured multiple organs, and they're going to perform this procedure on them. Well, these people can't sign any kind of release. You know, like every hospital, you go to any emergency room, you've got to sign. Somebody's going to sign. You know, I mean, if you're dying, they're going to keep you alive, but they got to get a hold of somebody, or they got to treat you like a Jane or John Doe, which they will do. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, it's all up to the surgical team now who's going to live and who's going to die. But they're only going to have this ready in 2020, by the end of 2020. So I want to know who the people are that they're working on now. Where are they getting them? Is this like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or something, or the Frankenstein monster, or I mean, what are they doing? I mean, it's almost as sci-fi as Frankenstein. It really is. I mean, come on, we're talking about people laying on a bed, cold as ice, no heartbeat, no breathing, brain activity is minimal at best. You're dead. You're literally dead. Who wants to die more than once? I don't want to die but one time, my friends. I'm not afraid of being dead. It's the act of dying I don't like, but I'm not afraid of being dead. I just fear the actual dying part of it. But anyway, the Baltimore team has put a cool limit of 2 hours on a human body, and it's not entirely clear exactly how long a person could remain in suspended animation without suffering major physical side effects. So now, see here, evidently they're taking these people, whoever they are, maybe they're homeless, maybe they're Skid Row, maybe they're grabbing these people up like they do these kids. Maybe they're grabbing them up off the street and hustling them in a van and running them over here and selling the whole thing, you know, for whatever they might sell them for. But yeah, buy them, buy these people, then injure them, shoot them, do whatever it is that you're wanting to study about this suspended animation stuff while you're repairing multiple organs. So why not? I don't put it past anybody in our society or our government that has the knowledge and the ability to do this, especially the Baltimore. Come on. We're talking Baltimore, Maryland. We're going to trust them to run this deal and to get this all worked out. And what kind of side effects are these people going to suffer? Will it be brain damage or organ failure or death, or I don't know. But experts say that suspended animation may someday help people to venture to the stars. You see, that's where they want to go. They want to go to the stars. But they know that they can't make the trip. They won't live long enough. But today in 2019, we're simply trying to save lives, according to the Scientist magazine. I don't know about trying to save lives, to be honest with you. I really don't. I think they're playing Dr. Frankenstein or something like that. They're dabbling in things that we need not dabble in. Well, first of all, think of it like this. Can you imagine the cost of an operation like that? Now, how many people come into the emergency room with stab wounds and gunshot wounds? And who are they? Who are these people? Come on, let's be honest about it. I know. I worked in emergency rooms for years. And I'll tell you, I know for a fact. Yeah, we have a lot of white folks come in. We sure do. We have a lot of people, but there's a lot of black people, and 98%, I would say, 98% of every gunshot wound or stab wound I ever saw in the emergency room at the hospital that I worked at were mainly black guys. These were the people being shot. These were the people being stabbed. Nothing against them. But even the white folks that were coming in shot or stabbed, most of them, unless they were police officers shot in a shootout or something, or maybe it was even, the crook that the police shot. But a lot of times they shoot each other in the streets. And that's the stabbings and the gunshots that I saw. Most of them, there were white guys. Yeah, there were people coming in all the time, that were white, that were shot or stabbed. But the majority were black guys. And that makes no difference. I'm just trying to make a point of the people who come in shot or stabbed, be them black or white, didn't have money. I would venture to say 90% of them or more had no kind of insurance whatsoever. These are street people. These are the people that are being shot. The people like in Chicago. They have hundreds shot every weekend. I mean, come on. They're going to start trying to save these guys by suspended animation and the exorbitant cost of it all. I mean, it has to be literally millions of dollars to do this one procedure on one person one time. Literally, it has to be millions of dollars. This is not feasible. We don't need this. The only reason they're doing this is because they want to go to the stars. Plain and simple. It has nothing to do with extending the life of a man. They're studying and trying to figure out how they can do this and send people to the stars. And then wake them up when they've traveled for 50 or 100 years to another solar system. I mean, come on, they're wanting to go Star Trek on us. That's what they're wanting. Because the people that they're doing these trials on and the people that they will use this system on in the future, once it's totally perfected at the end of 2020, are going to be those who can't afford to pay for it. No insurance is going to cover it. So you see, it's all about the stars. I venture to say we're going to hear less and less about this EPR stuff. And in the future, we're going to start hearing about how they're taking volunteers, and astronauts and putting them in suspended animation here on Earth in preparation for a trial run to the stars, to the solar system. That's all they're wanting to do. Even the Bible told us that man will try to climb the stars, but he won't succeed. We'll never reach the throne of heaven. And that's pretty much the truth. But we have something coming up here in the next few days that all of us look forward to every year. It's right after Halloween. We've had the fall festivals and the pumpkins and the corn stalks and all that stuff, people love holidays. Well, right around the corner next week is going to be Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is a great time of year, no doubt about it. It gives everybody time, to get together with family and friends and to fellowship and, have fun, have a big meal, get a full belly and, do whatever it is you do. If you drink, drink, and if you watch football, watch football, whatever it is you want to do. You hang out, you spend the day together. It's a celebration. It's a good time. Well, that's what happened way back yonder at Plymouth Rock. The Pilgrims and the Puritans came to America, and they landed up in the Massachusetts area and up in in the northern northeast. And when they came, they brought their own customs from Europe. And in Europe, I'm going to tell you, I was in Germany for 4 years, and I'm going to tell you, uh, they have more holidays than anything else. They have every kind of celebration that you can imagine. Well, they did it all over Europe back in those days. Everybody had celebrations, no matter what part of Europe you were from, France, Germany, Great Britain. It didn't matter. Spain, Portugal. It didn't matter. You all had your celebrations, but they all had celebrations of good times and good givings. It wasn't actually Thanksgiving, but it was about, the bountiful harvest and, everybody's got a full belly and plenty to eat and you fellowship. It's the same kind of thing as Thanksgiving. But these Puritans brought this with them over when they landed at Plymouth Rock. And then here they are. Can you imagine being a pilgrim or a Puritan on the shores of North America and you don't know where you are or what to expect? You wonder how you're going to survive because you only have what you brought on your ship to survive. You're trying to figure it out. What can I do, to grow things? I don't know. Corn came from America, so they didn't have corn. So I don't know, what the deal was, what they brought with them. I figured they hunted a lot, but they had to try to plant. But without the Indians, they would have never survived. The Indians did so much to help our pilgrims. Oh, sure, there were clashes, and there were some of these uh, people would come over from Great Britain and they'd come over and they'd kidnap Indians and take them back to Europe as slaves, houseboys, and the such. There's even a story of one such Indian. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look that up. I just thought about it. But I read about him where he was taken captive and taken back to England. And he was taught to speak English. He was taught to read and write. And somehow he got released and he got back on his ship and he came back home. And he came back home with all this knowledge of the white man that he was going to help his tribe. And when he got back, he had no tribe. The tribe had been wiped out, destroyed, utterly destroyed. Not one single member of his tribe was left alive that he could find. How sad is that? So does that tell you what these pilgrims and these Puritans did? They took the good graces of the Indians. And I know you see ever since you were a child, you've seen, oh, they all got this big old spread here with a big old turkey in the middle of it and all these horns uh, of fullness, with all the stuff stuffed in them. And you got the turkey and everything out there. And you got these Indians wearing their 3 or 4 feathers. And then you got the pilgrims standing over there so nice and pretty in their little black and white suits. Come on, people, it wasn't like that. That's what they want you to believe. That's what they've taught us all our life. All our life, they've taught us a lie. A total lie. Granted, like I said, there were some of this white men that came here, just came to take slaves and to run away. So sure, the Indians had a reason to not to trust white men. But they still befriended some. And they taught them how to grow corn and how to work the land here in America. You know, they taught them how to survive. They helped them when they couldn't help themselves. I mean, these poor pilgrims came over here thinking they were going to do all this great stuff. Well, they did do great stuff. But the fact of the matter is, they needed the help of the Indians at the time, and they took it. But some Native Americans take issues with how the Thanksgiving story is presented to the American public. And I, being part Indian, my grandmother on my mother's side was full-blooded Cherokee. I take offense at the Thanksgiving story. I take offense at the lie that they're trying to portray to our kids and they did to us when we were kids. Been doing it a long time. I'll tell you, people, this new world order, this demon, devil government that we have, with all these demon rats trying to run roughshod over everything, it's always been there. It was always more subtle back then. There were fewer people. It's so prevalent now that you're blind if you don't see it. But I don't agree with the story that's presented to the American public, especially to our school children. In their view, the traditional narrative paints a deceptive, sunny portrait of relations between pilgrims and the Wampanoag people. I don't want to mess that up, people. It's Wampanoag people, masking the long, bloody history of conflict between the Native American and the European settlers. It resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of Native Americans. You tell me why the Indians would want to come and break bread with the people who's massacred their own people. They massacred their families, their friends. Tens of thousands of Indians died at the hands of these people. You know, since 1970, protesters have gathered on the day designated as Thanksgiving at the top of Coles Hill, which overlooks Plymouth Rock, to commemorate a national day of mourning for the Native Americans. Similar events are held in other parts of the country. Now, although the American concept of Thanksgiving developed in the colonies of New England, like I said earlier, its roots can be traced back to the other side of the Atlantic. Both the separatists who came over on the Mayflower and the Puritans who arrived soon after brought with them traditions of provincial holidays and days of fasting during difficult or pivotal times. And celebration and to thank God in the times of plenty. Okay. I was trying to flip it over here on my phone and I shot it the wrong way. But as an annual celebration of the harvest and its bounty, moreover, Thanksgiving falls under the category of festivals that spans cultures. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't care who else, the Egyptians, the Romans, it says here. All of these people have festive times of harvest. The part that sickens me is the part that they tell us or told us as kids and are still telling our kids today. This lie of a story. You see, these demon rats, they're not really happy with the way that this happened. They don't want to tell the true story. They want to mask it over. You know, they want to make it look like the white man was good, you know, and he traded with the Indians and brought them blankets. Yeah, he also brought them disease. They had diseases that they brought with them that the Indians had never seen before. It was like an epidemic with smallpox. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Indians died. Not only there, but in South America, where the Aztecs and the Mayans. I mean, come on, the Inca. The Spaniards brought that crap, and they wiped out whole civilizations. What happened to the Incas? What happened to the Aztecs? Where did the Mayans go? Disease of the white man is what got rid of those people. I'll tell you, it's a crying shame. We shouldn't allow that kind of stuff to happen. And here are these people want to celebrate Thanksgiving today, and they have no idea what they're celebrating. They're not celebrating a bountiful harvest. Half of them don't even think about a harvest when they sit down to eat that turkey. I know I don't. Not normally. This year I probably will, because it's been brought to my attention. I never really thought about it. I've done the story on the Trail of Tears and other stories of how Indians were mistreated. I never thought about Thanksgiving. I never thought about how the lies that we've heard and the lies that we still hear ring loud and clear. That the Indians and the Puritans and those pilgrims from the Mayflower, oh, come on. They were happy friends. No, they weren't. Thousands and thousands died of disease brought by these people, and the other part were murdered at their hands. Indians didn't really like white man very much. And you know, in the South, they never celebrated Thanksgiving. See, all this was up in Massachusetts. Us folks down here in Georgia and South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina, Alabama, we didn't know nothing about no celebration of the harvest. You know, we were colonists brought over by Oglethorpe. You know, he's the one that brought us down here on the southeast coast. And we were, get this, people, we were the scourge of society and criminals. That's who we were in the South. That's how we got started. Oglethorpe was the man. Look him up. He was the man that brought the people to the South. The Mayflower took them to the North. I guess that's one reason we're a lot different, you know. I'm nothing like anybody from Massachusetts, and they're not like me. We may agree on a lot of things. I think I know some people in here from Massachusetts. I have in the past, at least, and I get along with you no matter where you live. But as long as you believe in the same things I do, we have no problem. We're not going to talk about the North and the South and the Civil War, the war between the states. We're not going to talk about whose fault it was or how it started. That's not something I talk about with Yankees. It's too touchy for me. So if you want to be my friend and you're from the North, we just won't talk about that stuff. And we can still be friends and brothers, and we can fight together if the time ever comes. I've got a couple of minutes left, so I want to touch on one thing. I haven't talked about our kids lately. I used to do videos on nothing but our children. The aborted, the trafficked, the abused, the exploited and sexually exploited, and the sacrificed. And I did say sacrifice, my friends. You would be amazed. You would literally be amazed at the amount of sacrifice that goes on in this country. You know, you think of sacrifice in this country, you know, you'd think, well, living here in Georgia around Atlanta, yeah, you got a lot of Haitians and people from Grenada and other countries where they sacrifice goats. So, yeah, you have people selling goats to them. I think there's over 600,000 goats sold every year in the city limits of Atlanta. And that's a fact. They're for sacrifice. Of course, they eat the meat, but they're still sacrificed. Probably in somebody's backyard or out in the woods, but it goes on all the time. Same thing is happening with our children. If you think for 1 minute that they're not sacrificing these children, your head's in the sand. Tell me, look me in the eye and tell me, where 800,000 children every year disappear to? Where do they go? How can a child just disappear? 800,000 every year. Can you? And it's not reported. Why are they not reported? Whose children are these? Do we have people in America that breed children just to give or sell for sacrifice? That thought just came to my head just then. Hadn't even thought of that. You know, I'm thinking these 800,000 kids are missing. My God, where did they go? They're never to be seen again. Their bodies are never found. Oh, yeah, every now and then you find one that's been kidnapped and it's returned safely, or they find that poor child murdered somewhere. It happens. But 800,000 every year. Think about that number, people. That's almost 1 million children. Where in the world do they go? They go to places that there's no return from. They go to places within our government. They go to places and the people in our society, those that have you have the haves and the have-nots. Well, the haves have a lot of these children. I'm not trying to scare you and I'm not trying to make you angry, but I'll tell you, 800,000 children don't just disappear into thin air. They all don't fall off the end of the earth. The earth doesn't open up and swallow them, and they just disappear. Aliens haven't taken them. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? I'll tell you, Satanism is rampant in this country. It's rampant. There are Satanists all over the place, and I'm not talking about the Church of Satan. I'm talking about the true satanic possessed people that we have in our society. I'll guarantee you, anybody that's satanic possessed has a lot of money and they have a lot of fame. And they get away literally with murder all the time. That's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't mean to get wound up on that, but I'll tell you, people, we have to understand that 800,000 children a year disappearing is unacceptable. Unacceptable. You know, I would like to see a printout of where all these children were. I'd like to see a map. You know, I want to see some statistics. They came up with this answer of 800,000. Where did they get that number? I want to know where they got the number, who the children were. Where were they at when they disappeared? Who was supposed to be in charge of them? Who had access to them? I got a lot of questions. 800,000. Give me a break. Give me a break. That is so unacceptable. On any playing field, it's unacceptable. It's just like abortion is unacceptable. I'm on the fence. You've heard me say it before on abortion. When it comes to the health of the mother, I'm on the fence with that one. I'm going to let the mother make the call on that one. It's her life or the child's. I'll leave that to her. But abortion for any other reason is unacceptable. Rape or incest is not an acceptable excuse. Just because you have something growing in your belly that you hate, how it got there. It's still part of you. Do you hate yourself? Love that child. Don't destroy it. Love the part of you that's in that child. Rape and incest is a terrible thing. But there again, I'm going to leave that up to the individual. But when it comes to abortion for convenience, or because you don't like the sex of the child, it's unacceptable. And this is about 90% of all abortions, maybe even higher than that. I think it was 96 last time I looked. 96% of all abortions are elected. You do it because you want to. There's no medical reason. Either you don't like the sex of the child, or you just don't want to have a child, or you don't like the guy that got you pregnant, or you screwed up, had a one night stand, and now here you are with a child that you don't want. That's not a reason to kill a human being. It's not a reason. It's not an excuse. It doesn't give you an out. It doesn't give you an in. It doesn't give you anything. If you were the one and you laid down with that man, you knew what the consequences could be when you did it. If you didn't want to get pregnant, why didn't you always take a morning after pill while the thing's still just a cell? You know, the little sperm swimming around there just barely got attached. But no, you want to get pregnant. You want to, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm pregnant. What are we going to do? Here you are, 6 months pregnant. Now you're going to go have an abortion, right? Yeah. That's what you're going to do. If you're living in New York, what you're going to do is you're going to go in your 9th month. You're going to carry this baby, you and your boyfriend, oh, you're in love, and you got pregnant, oh, everything's great, we're going to be so happy as a family, and he gets scared and runs away, and here you are with a 9-month baby in your belly, and you don't want it anymore because you don't have the man that gave it to you. So now you don't want this baby. So now in New York, all you have to do is go to your local abortion doctor, and they'll kill that baby that's ready to be born right up until the time its head is coming out. They can murder that baby. People, this is sick and it's sad. It's been going on since 1933. It's been going on longer than that. It's been going on forever. But I'm talking about religiously. It's been going on since 1933 with Margaret Sanger. We all know that. We all know that she started Planned Parenthood, and she started Planned Parenthood to exterminate the black race. Did I just tell you that most, just like with the shootings and the stabbings, I don't know the correlation, but the majority of all abortions are done on black women. I don't know where they get the money. I don't guess it matters. I guess it's Medicaid or Medicare or something is paying for it, or at least paying a part of it. It's a sad situation when we're having children die by the thousands all the time. It's a crying shame that we allow this to happen in our society. But see, we have the demon rats, the same demon rats that want to impeach this president. They want abortion. They want to take our guns. They want to give us free school. We don't want their damn free school. They want to give us everything. They want to, give us health care and all this. Well, I don't want that socialist, Satanist government anywhere around me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to sign off. I'm sorry that I got wound up on the children, but I'll tell you, it's something dear to my heart, and I think about them all the time, and I pray for them every day. We have to find out where this 800,000 kids are going every year. Somebody needs to put a stop to it. I don't know how we could. I don't know what we can do. But I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to see what I can find out on these 800,000 kids and where they're coming from and where they think they're going. So I'll be back on later video and we'll talk about that. But as it's 9 o'clock, I'm gonna get out of here. I think American Joe's going on. If he's not, somebody is. God bless. I love you. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to y'all Wednesday night. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. See you then. God bless. Be safe.